Hey Anna,
Hey, Mike.
so we've just finished Billy's first 60 days of Antinol, and wow, what a difference.
Really? Oh my gosh, what have you noticed?
Well, he's shiner, he's much more energetic. Not that he wasn't beforehand, but you can see the difference. But remember, I told you he used to have that little limp in his back left paw that he'd hurt himself when he was a pup. But he
Yes,
doesn't seem
yes.
to do that much anymore.
What, the hop, skip, and the jump?
Yeah, yeah. So it's like his joints are a bit better. And we actually had friends around this weekend who'd noticed that there was something good about Billy. And I was telling them about Antinol, and they said, "Oh, what's in it?" I said, "Well, green lip mussel." And they said, "What's that?" And I go, "Oh, well, I don't know. I'll have to ask Anna," as I always do. So
Well,
for next
green,
time, what should I say? What's so great
well,
about green lip mussel?
green lip mussel, it comes from New Zealand. It's the only place that green lip mussels live. And what's great about the green lip mussel is that it is what's known as a broad spectrum source of omega 3. And the reason dogs need to take omega 3 is that their bodies don't make it themselves. So, unless they're getting it through their diet, which can be omega 6 heavy. And it's very important to have a balance between omega 6 and omega 3. So it's normally through supplements that omega 3 is given. And green lip mussel is unique in its having everything from EPA, DHA, and ETA. So all the main omega 3s.
And how about Binks and Prudence? They must be much better as well.
Yeah, well, they've been on it for over a year and they've been on green lip mussel forever since I've had them. So Prue's 10 now. So she's had green lip mussel since the first day I brought her home, to be honest, but not Antinol. And I only wish I'd discovered Antinol earlier. I really honestly mean that because it's an oil rather than a powder. So its bioavailability, that means, its effectivity to get absorbed quickly and efficiently by the body is greater.
So people listening now and they want to discover Antinol for themselves, where do they go?
Well, all you have to do is go to Antinol, ANTINOL.co.uk, and then type in Anna Webb and get your special discount. Hello, and welcome to A Dog's Life. This episode is powered by Antinol. On this week's show, I'm delighted to be chatting to the BBC broadcaster Anne-Marie Wallace, all about her love of dogs and other animals, and indeed her podcast called All Right Pet. Anne-Marie Wallace, welcome to A Dog's Life.
Oh, thank you so much, Anna. I am so pleased to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I'm very jealous because you're actually speaking to us on a proper BBC microphone, as you are a presenter on BBC Radio Ulster. And you do a very special segment all about pets, not just dogs, all pets, but a lot about dogs, called All Right Pet. Is that right?
Yes, yes, we started All Right Pet 6 series ago, just about 2021 it was. And it was a podcast that we decided to make for BBC Sounds. And it also went on to Radio Ulster and Radio Foyle as well, to get our money's worth. And it has just sort of grown from there. And yes, I suppose it was predominantly cats and dogs initially, but sure, we've covered everything now. 6 series later, everything from polar bears to lions to spiders. But let's not talk about those.
Oh, spiders. Oh my gosh. Have you done rats?
Do you know what? We haven't done rats. We've done
Oh,
mice, tiny little field mice, but we haven't done rats. No.
Oh, do you know what? Because I'm fascinated by them. The only sad thing is with the small furries, Anne Marie, the thing is, gosh, they only live for about 2 or 3 years. And I
Yeah.
don't think I could cope with that, to be honest, because they're so intelligent. And oh, not obviously not the rats that live outside.
Aye.
There are pedigree rats.
Yeah. Well, that's it. And I am scared of the big rats that you see sort of fluttering around, by riverbanks and stuff. You're like, get away from those as quickly as possible. And I've never had any real desire to have, say, a pet mouse or a hamster. But I'm surprised that people still buy their kids pets like hamsters, because sure they're nocturnal, sure they just make noise all night long, and then during the day when the kids want to play with them, sure they're asleep. I don't really understand that. I still don't understand why they're such popular pets.
Isn't that interesting? I mean, it is totally true. Yeah, no, it's funny. My sister had gerbils, and the same goes with the gerbil. You know, they are actually nocturnal. But I used to have a guinea pig, and I adored him. He was a rough-coated tricolour. I named him Squeak, and my dad made him the most amazing mezzanine house, actually. I mean, out of an old chest of drawers, you know, and that was what you did then, you know, and it was so inventive. So you could put him in one section and then pull the drawer out and literally tip everything into a bin, you know, and then replace it with fresh hay and so on, and then just slide it back in. So clever. He should have patented it, and it had an upstairs and the whole works, you know.
Gosh, he was a pioneer, because sure, up until quite recently, you were still getting even animals like guinea pigs sold in very small hutches that were far too small for them. So the fact that your dad was had it upstairs for your guinea pig way back when is just unbelievable. He absolutely should have patented it.
Yeah, well, my dad, I mean, he was secretary of the Shropshire branch of the RSPCA when in his retirement, when I was sort of really young and at a very impressionable age. So I learned about, so he was on the page with animals, you know, 100%. And, you know, I learned about a lot of animal cruelty at a very young age, you see, and I'd go round, I would be dad's clickbait, you know, at Christmas, we'd go round the houses, you know, knock, knock, shake the tin, you know, please donate to the animals, and he'd push me to the front, you know, and everything. And I'd go, you've got to help the dogs this Christmas, you know, and they'd be like, right, here's £20, you know. Well, maybe not that much back then, but yeah. No, it's interesting, isn't it? How that all of that kind of shapes your future. You know, it's very important, early socialization, and that applies to dogs. So we've segued.
But it's really interesting as well that you say that your dad, you know, showed you the good and bad side of having animals and pets in your life. And I do think that kids are a lot more resilient than a lot of people give them credit for. I really do. And obviously my kids grow up with dogs now, and they have lost some of their dogs already, and they have been very stoic about it. You know, Cassie, her kidneys started to fail, so we knew the time was coming close. And then the day that she was going to the vet, I said to the kids, look, you know, Cassie is going to be put to sleep today. So look, do you all want to go and say goodbye to her? And my little girl, Kirby, she went over to Cassie. Thank goodness Cassie couldn't understand a word she was saying. She said, Cassie, I love you. You'll be dead soon. And I thought, well, there you go. There you go. Kids they can take it on the chin.
Gosh. Yeah. Well, it's the first time I've actually had this sort of a conversation. And I think, yeah, it's true. You know, well, this is one of the reasons I think why, you know, children and animals go together, like, you know, strawberries and cream and whatever, because they do teach you so much, just, you know, appreciating a different species. I mean, I know I did as a child. I would gravitate to animals all the time. I think, you know, who knows, you know, I always say I'm Anna Webb, I'm ADHD, OCD, you know, and I am probably, but, you know, so, and that's all great. And I think animals play such an important role with children, not least that science does say, actually, Anne-Marie, that, you know, children that grow up around dogs and animals do have stronger immune systems.
Were you like me? Did you befriend all the local pets, all the cats, all the dogs? Would they follow you around like you were the Pied Piper?
Yeah, 100%. Well, dogs, most definitely. And, you know, and I rode, you know, Dad used to take me for my riding lessons and all of that and give me a very stern critique on the way back. Your back needs to be straight, your heels must stay down, you know.
Do you still ride? Do you still ride now?
Oh, if only, well, I'd love to. You know, I really would. No, the last time I rode, it sounds really pretentious.
Go on.
God. So I was in India and I rode the Marwari horse. I did it 3 times actually, because I'm in love with India. I love it. So I haven't been back there for ages. This would have been about 2009. The last time, yes, I think that's actually correct. So it was brilliant, actually, brilliant. You know, we rode no hats on, you know, because the hats they gave us to wear You know, my friend Louise I was with just said, Anna, these are going to cause more damage if we fall off with this on than not. And I went, brilliant. And I hadn't actually been on a horse since my 20s. So at this point, I'm in my 40s. So I'm now 60. So, you know, time flies when you're having fun, Anne-Marie.
Yeah.
But no, loved it. You know, absolutely loved it.
It's funny because actually I took up riding again after I'd had my kids and really, really enjoyed it, but had the fear. Didn't have the fear when you're younger, and then suddenly as you get older, you think, oh, but here, if I if I come off now, I might, you know, wreck my knee or my back or my head,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and that's the worry. But I saw a couple actually really recently doing a lovely little sort of trot and canter through Hyde Park, which I hadn't realised you could do. And my goodness, like that just looks like so much fun. And I thought, right, the next time I'm back in London, whenever I go back and fly over to London, I'm going to do that. I'm going to ride in Hyde Park. Maybe you and I, Anna, should go and ride in Hyde Park.
I would absolutely 100% definitely be on for it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. No, and I know because I've recently tuned that episode when you went with Rob Downton, walked around Hyde Park. It was absolutely brilliant, you know, because obviously I live in London, so and I love Hyde Park and Regent's Park, all of them really. And there's a certain thing about it, isn't it? I mean, would you say London was different from your Northern Ireland, your local hood, your local park? Were there differences, or was it the same? You know, the dog.
I have to say that actually, I suppose because a lot of people in London don't have their own gardens or green spaces, so a lot of people gravitate to parks more, maybe. So, and obviously you have such spectacular parks like St James's Park and Regent's Park and Hyde Park. But as well as that, you know, like it's very dog friendly in London. Rob talks about this. He would always bring his dogs down to London. If himself and Julie, who's also a vet, if they were going away for the weekend, they would take their two King Charles Cavaliers and they'd go and stay in a dog friendly hotel, and there'd be all sorts of puppy experiences. Like honestly, ridiculous the things that you can get in hotels now. It's so fancy. And they went to a cocktail bar that was dog friendly. And they could go to restaurants that were dog friendly, shopping. And so it's great. Like London is a really dog friendly city. I'm hugely impressed by it as a place to go with your animals.
Oh yeah, Anne-Marie, it's so exciting to hear your enthusiasm. But you're absolutely right, it so is. And it seems the hound pound.
Yes, I haven't heard that before. That's great.
You know, it's always been very strong on the stock market.
But that's it. Have you ever been over to Northern Ireland with any of your pets? Have you ever traveled to Northern Ireland?
No, I haven't, which is dreadful. And I would love to make up for this. I have been to Dublin, but that's not Northern Ireland. I know that. So I'm terribly remiss on this because no, friends told me it's like so beautiful. And our producer on Barking at the Moon at the moment on Late Night Joe, Carla Battisti. Carla's from Northern Ireland. So yeah, we have the great chat. There's a real ebullience about everyone over there, I think. And in fact, actually, well, there's a big campaign, a big initiative. It might be something for All Right Pet, actually. I don't know if you've heard of Dog Advocacy Ireland going on at the moment. It's it's a charity that's really lobbying government on dog welfare, particularly, you know, to try and curb, you know, this puppy farming industry that is in, you know, in Southern Ireland. Yeah, they're doing really well at it, actually. They're gaining a bit of traction because, you know, these dogs are bred in just abysmal conditions, absolutely dreadful, no welfare concerns at all. And, you know, they leave Ireland and they come into Europe, and a lot end up in the UK, and then they're sold on the internet, and people don't realise that buying a dog on the internet really, you know, great for, you know, vacuum cleaners and all the rest of it, you know, and it's Black Friday, I think, today as well. But you don't buy dogs, you know, you don't buy live animals full stop on the internet. I mean, and people got bitten literally by this through the pandemic. You know, there was I think it was a celebrity couple. They bought a Pomeranian in Russia, and it was shipped. So, you know, they'd not met the dog, they'd not met the parents, they'd not been to where it was, obviously where it was born. And so sorry, mini rant there. Sorry, mini rant, Anne-Marie. But it's a really, really, really great cause, Dog Advocacy Ireland, that, you know, and they work a lot with a charity called My Lovely Horse.
Oh yes.
Yes, yeah. Big charity, yeah. Yeah.
That's Neil Hannon from Divine Comedy. It's himself and his partner, his wife. They own My Lovely Horse down in Ireland. Isn't that right?
Yes, that is them. And they
Yeah.
honestly, gosh, their posts on social media, they make me cry. It's terrible.
It's great to have somebody like Neil Hannon, somebody who has a profile as well that can help a bit, like the Will Young thing we were talking about off air beforehand. The fact that if you have somebody who has a name who can just get that story out there a bit more clearly to people who will listen, because you and I can talk as much as we want. We can do our podcasts, but sometimes somebody who has a big profile on social media can get so many more people to listen to their plight, so it's interesting. But like we talked about this with Will Young, the fact that there are so many animals being brought around from different countries, and so many puppy farms, and so many puppies that were bought during lockdown, and now we have these dogs in people's houses if they kept them, and a lot of people gave them away. Let's be clear about that as well. The minute they went back to work, a lot of these dogs were given away to charities, and charities are still struggling because of that. But the fact that these dogs are midlife now, and in a couple of years, we're going to see a huge increase, a huge spike in illnesses in these dogs that weren't bred properly to begin with, and that's really terrifying.
I listened to that, and I thought it was a really interesting point to raise, and totally agree on it. Totally agree. And it's a worry, but I also agree with you, Anne-Marie, on that I think many of those dogs aren't still with their original owners. Also, enabled, if you like, by all these, I call them doggy eBay sites, because it's easy, just take a photograph of a dog and then post it on these sites and sell it, and the charity I represent, who I love, urge you to look them up, called All Dogs Matter. They're North London based, and they really work, on the ground. They're very small, so they're able to act quickly. And Peter Egan is their patron, and yeah. So, and I agree with that sort of slight sparkle. Celebrity endorsement really goes a long way. But Iris looks at dogs sometimes and sees that they've been sold 3 or 4 times on these sites.
Yeah.
Shoved from pillar to post, and it's a tragedy, really.
It is. It's devastating, because then, sure, what about socialization? If a dog comes into a home and then it lasts 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, and then they get moved on to the next, and they end up in kennels, and then they go somewhere else. How do they ever settle? With each new home that they go into, they are less settled. So they're already 4 paws behind than they were to begin with. It's really upsetting, because I remember my first greyhound that I found, Rusty. He looked like Bambi. He was sort of butterscotch and cream.
Oh.
The most gorgeous dog. But I found him wandering the streets. He was out on the streets. My neighbours said, "Look, watch out, there's a big greyhound running around." And I thought, oh gosh. And I'd never had a greyhound up until this point. And I thought, oh dear. So I had my Jack Russell and my lab at the time. And I brought them home, and I got a lead, and I got some ham, and thought, right, I need to find this greyhound. I can't have it running around a busy East Belfast street. It'll get killed. So eventually I found Rusty quivering in somebody's garden, and got him in, and he very gently into my boot. And he went with me. He sort of gave himself up to whatever fate it was going to befall him. And I put him in my boot and brought him up to the local veterinary hospital, and he had the tattoos in his ears from obviously being bred as a puppy. So we were able to find out a bit of information about him, and find out that he'd been owned by 6 different people in the 2 years of his life. And I thought, like, what type of poor dog, what type of start is that for any animal, to have been shunted around 6 different times? And it took him 2 years to settle in our home. But he settled, and he was the best dog you could ever have. And I just thought, you see all those other 6 families, you're fools, because he was an absolutely brilliant companion and friend. I loved him very, very much, and I was very lucky to have him.
Oh gosh, that's so lovely. I've just got a picture of you roaming around, looking for a dog that you don't even know, and maybe going, "Excuse me, have you seen a greyhound in your garden?" Oh
Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, and I think once people know that you're going to take responsibility of the situation, they're more likely to help you. I think people are sometimes scared to think, oh no, here, if I go and help her, am I going to be stuck with it? And that is the thing. People have busy lives, and they're afraid to get involved, don't want to get involved. But you know what? Sometimes you do need to get involved, and sometimes you just got to help somebody. And in that instance, it was absolutely the right thing to do. And I was so glad, because he was a great pup. And I just had my first baby then, as Rusty came and lived with us. And so Oscar was up half the night, and Rusty was up half half the night. But sure, that was okay. Sure, who needs sleep anyway?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you're absolutely right. You do have to do what you've got to do sometimes.
Yeah.
And all of that just makes you stronger, and it builds a relationship with the dog.
Yeah.
So I can see that you and Rusty obviously were really close, without doubt.
Yeah. He was a great dog, and unfortunately, he was the one that when he jumped off the sofa one day when he was about 9 and his leg snapped. So we got him to the hospital, the veterinary hospital again, and it turned out he had bone cancer. So there's a whole process there. Do you get him treatment? Do you get the leg removed? What's the outcome? What are the chances of him surviving? All of that. So that was, yourself when you get to that stage with a dog, and actually because it's so sudden, he hadn't been unwell. He'd been out for a walk with me that morning. I didn't know he was sick. So you're suddenly forced into the situation, trying to make a decision, thinking, I'm not going to say goodbye to this dog today, am I? Because this doesn't seem like something I was prepared for. So, that's unfortunate thing that sometimes, we have to deal with as pet owners too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, yes, I've certainly been in this situation before, and it's that terrible shock. We got up this morning and it was going to be a normal day, and by the end of that day, it's by far the normal day, and it's shock and panic and fear of everything. And I think, a question that's always asked at this point. So now I've asked it, because you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I want to save my dog's life, but is she going to live? Is he going to live? What's the prognosis? What would you do if this was your dog? And you covered this in a recent episode as well.
Yes. And the great thing is, because obviously I have Rob, and he's an orthopedic surgeon, he's a specialist vet. He is hugely knowledgeable. So, I'm lucky that I can talk to him about stuff anyway. But there was an episode where it was himself and actually Dr. Sean McCormack as well, who's a great guy. He's based down at the Ealing Beaver Project, which if you haven't been to visit, my word, Anna, you need to go and visit that, because that will bring you such joy, and you can walk your doggies there, and it is just gorgeous. But Sean and Rob were sort of talking a bit about how they feel when somebody comes to them in practice and says, okay, well, look, what would you do? My dog has this diagnosis. What would you do? And Sean was quite happy to answer that question. Rob, being Rob, he'd mull it over a lot, and he would really, I think he would curate it very much for each individual patient. But I admitted that, in the past, I have asked my vet, well, look, if this was your dog, this is your cat, whatever, what would you do? And in that instance with Rusty, when the leg snapped, my vet, Gina, was very honest with me, and she said, look, if you get the leg removed, the operation might work, it might not. Even beyond that, if that operation does work, you've probably got 9 months, maybe a year with Rusty, because obviously it's bone cancer, it is in his bones. This is not forever, but we know about chemotherapy and how well it works in pets now, which is amazing. So I made the decision, having talked to her, and she was like, I don't know. I thought no, because if it was me, or if it was a member of my family, and Rusty is a member of my family, I want to give him the best shot. And we got the leg removed, and actually the operation was pretty successful. I went to see him every day, got him his bacon and his sausages, and they let me go into the bedroom with him in the veterinary hospital. But unfortunately, after 10 days, there was a secondary illness that caused his blood pressure to spike, and he became very unwell. And so I had to make the decision very quickly to get him put to sleep. And that was okay, because I thought, well, look, I gave him a shot. At least I can go away now. I'm very upset, and I am devastated that I put him through 10 days of obviously a certain amount of discomfort and pain, because he's had a leg removed and he doesn't know what's going on and why has it suddenly happened. But I know for my own peace of mind, and that's only my own personal decision, everyone else's is different. But for my peace of mind, I thought I needed to do that for him, to give him a chance. I needed to give him a shot.
Oh, yes, I would have done the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I believe he knew, that you've done that. So,
Yeah.
I wouldn't guilt so much, about any guilt. I mean, guilt always comes with death, it's part of grieving, isn't it? But no, he'll know. And I honestly really, or the scientist, oh no, Mike, my producer's going to go, I can't believe it. my favorite scientist is Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, and actually episode 1 of A Dog's Life is with Rupert in his library. It was just before the pandemic, so I was so lucky. And he's been on the radio a lot, and he believes that the sixth sense it's not supernatural, it's natural, it's not paranormal, it's normal. And certainly after my cat passed a couple of years ago, awful circumstances, won't go there now. Actually now, do believe there's something. I don't know what it is, but without doubt, Gremlin, you see all these red admiral butterflies were following me everywhere. And and whenever I found one in my bathroom, actually, only a few weeks ago. I know, I'm like, because I thought, I haven't seen a red admiral butterfly for ages, I thought, and because they last through the year, actually. They're not just for the summer. And suddenly I heard, what's this noise in the bathroom? It was worrying me a bit. I thought, oh, don't say we've got a mouse in there or a rat. Oh, God, there was this sort of fluttery, scratchy kind of sound. And there he was, just kind of weird. And I got him out and everything. But I thought, well, why are you in here in the first place, really? But, so there's all this weird stuff. I think we can't look at, if you like. Strange things happen sometimes that are inexplicable. And that's so Dr. Rupert Sheldrake in his book, Dogs That Know When Their Owners Are Coming Home, and a lot more. It's well worth reading, Anne-Marie. I so recommend it. And actually going back, I was segueing actually to the hypo hounds that you've recently been to visit. It was one of the founders of the charity Medical Detection Dogs that said to me once, he is still with us actually, his name is Dr. John Church, he's very old now, but he said, Anna, you must have read Sheldrake. And I said, no, I don't think I have. This is many years ago. And he went, my dear, you have to read Dogs That Know When Their Owners Are Coming Home. So obviously I did. And it's just like totally blown my mind. So anyway, there's that. But on the hypo hounds, you've recently been to visit a wonderful woman with her diabetic alert dogs.
Yeah, Wendy Smith. And funnily enough, she only lives around the corner from me as well. And I hadn't realised she lives so close by. And she has type 1 diabetes. And my dad had type 1 diabetes as well. I grew up with a daddy who used to take a lot of hypos. So, I mean, I'm sure you obviously know what that means. But it means that if your blood sugar levels spike or go very low, there's a possibility that the patient can pass out and actually become very, very unwell and eventually die. And so my dad would sometimes just not come home from work of an evening. And my sister and I would be like, well, where's daddy? He hasn't come home from work. And my mummy wasn't alive. She died very young. So my sister and I would go and try and find my daddy, and he would often be maybe passed out in the car. He'd maybe gone to visit my mum's grave after work, and he wouldn't have had enough sugar before he went, and he'd have passed out. And we'd then be trying to get the car open and scrabbling to get sort of glucose into his mouth or a Lucozade or something just to try and bring him round. So it is a hugely impactful disease to both the person who has it, but also the people around them. So these hypo hounds, like your medical alert dogs that you have seen and are so passionate about, they can just detect by scent when the owner's blood sugar levels have spiked or have fallen, and they will paw at. So the two dogs in particular, Digby and Echo, that I met. Digby is the new black lab that Wendy now has. Echo is the retired golden retriever that she also still has, who also still alerts sometimes because Echo didn't get the memo that Echo was retired. So Echo still paws too. But she said that within the first 90 days of her having her first hypo hound, she was alerted something like 150 times. So they are constantly working. They are constantly helping those lucky people who have a hypo hound in their life, letting them know, right, your blood sugar level has dropped. Take a wee drink of glucose. Take a wee drink of fizzy drink, whatever it is, to get that sugar back up, and then go and check your bloods. And it works hand in hand. When my daddy had type 1 diabetes and was still alive, you didn't have the apps in your arm. They have the little apps now as well. We can have the monitor in your arm all the time, and the hypo hounds. If he'd had that, his life would have been so different. He would have had the freedom and the confidence to go beyond Newcastle, County Down, where he lived and died. He never travelled anywhere. He was too afraid to go anywhere. He was almost too afraid to go to the nearest city for fear that he wouldn't make it home in the car. And that's the terrifying thing. And yet these hypo hounds have changed these people's lives. It is... Every time you see a working dog, any kind of working dog, it takes your breath away, doesn't it?
Oh gosh, without doubt. I mean, obviously, I'm a massive fan, and also the work that it's similarly using the dog's nose, and of course the dog's willingness to cooperate and help their human. I mean, it all really began with anecdotal stories of dogs just doing it naturally. They'd say, well, look, suddenly he was nudging my arm and it coincided with my sugars dropping or my sugars going up as well, and that's what sort of gave the reason for certainly medical detection dogs launching, and the same with cancer. So there's this wonderful woman called Maureen Hughes and her collie, and the collie went really weird with her anyway, and she'd had 5 mammograms and they all said she was fine, but she said, look, my dog was really acting strangely, backing away from her, rather than really weird change of behavior in her dog. And she said, I really feel this is significant, and pushed again for another mammogram, which revealed the smallest cancer, but it was there. It was easy to fix at that point, early diagnosis. And there was a lot of these anecdotal true stories that, led the charity to think, well, look, they can do it naturally, so we can train them as well. And of course, it transforms lives. It saves lives. And you visited their Milton Keynes HQ, I believe.
Yeah, we did. And it wasn't the lady who started that charity, the Medical Alert Dogs. Her dog alerted her to the fact that she had breast cancer too. Isn't that right?
Yeah, 100%. Daisy, sadly, Daisy, the dog, is no longer with us.
Yes.
And yes, that is absolutely 100% true. And it was Tangle, a chocolate working cocker, that sorry, I well up every time I say it, because well, no, he launched the cancer research. That dog had the drive. That dog proved it, and that's what I just love, because I know you were at a shoot as well, and you were saying how it was just amazing to see owners and their dogs so in sync, and these dogs just through a look of the eye or a quick hand signal, non-verbal communication, that got these dogs to do all these fabulous things in front of the camera that they really enjoyed. And this is this extraordinary partnership that exists between dogs and their people, and that's how it was really with Tangle, this and the working cocker. He's sadly no longer with us as well, but there's statues of him at the HQ. He was extraordinary, just and and he did something a dog had never done before, ever, which was smell cancer volatiles, but alert to it. They've alerted to Semtex and a huge number of things now. Harnessing the dog COVID, the dogs were alerting to COVID in certain countries. They were using dogs to go up and down the line, at airports, and they'd highlight people that were then had to go and be tested. So that was being deployed for a bit during the pandemic, actually, as well. So amazing, isn't it, really, Anne-Marie? I mean, it's extraordinary, right? Dogs are just amazing.
Yeah, no, I mean, anyone who's incredulous, go to Milton Keynes headquarters and watch Peanuts sniffing out Parkinson's disease in 5 minutes, and you'll go, all right, you know what, I was wrong. I'm sorry, these dogs are the most exceptional things you've ever seen in your life. Like, it blows you away. And funnily, when we were at the HQ as well, we chatted to a lovely girl and her dog, Mabel, and she had POTS, young, gorgeous girl who, up until she got Mabel, she had to stay with her mum and dad. Her mum and dad had to go with her everywhere. If she wanted to meet her friends, they had to come with her. And when you're 20, you don't want your parents there all the time. You want to feel like a young, vibrant, independent person. And so Mabel alerted while we were there. So we were sitting just chatting to her, and Mabel came over. Mabel had been sniffing around. You would never have known that she was even thinking about her owner. And the next thing, Mabel comes over, starts shuffling, and she says, oh, right, okay. And she took off her glasses and she just put her head down on the desk, and then her arms and her shoulders slumped. And up until she had Mabel, when that happened to her, she had no alert. And so she was falling in the kitchen. She was falling out in the street. She was falling anywhere. She was cracking her head. She was breaking her bones. And that dog has completely changed her life in every way. And you spend 5 minutes with them and you think, there's no greater bond. There's no greater bond than that bond between human and animal. It is exceptional.
Yeah, 100%. Gosh, no, I'm so Yeah, so happy that you've experienced medical
Oh,
detection dogs, actually, because until you do, you know, it's hard. It's humbling, isn't it? I think
yeah,
that's it. It's just humbling. You're left speechless.
yeah. Yeah, they're so much brighter than us.
Yeah,
Let's be
exactly.
honest, they are.
Oh my gosh. Oh gosh, 100%. And you know, not just dogs. I mean, you know, cats as well, you know, have a huge impact on our lives, but just in a different way, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Well, it's funny when you were talking about that, there's another lady that we chatted to, that Cats Protection she'd been nominated for an award actually, and this cat who wasn't, cats can be quite aloof sometimes. Well, a lot of the time, let's be honest. But
Yeah.
this cat would have been generally quite aloof, but then started coming over and nudging under her owner's arm and just
Uh,
nudging and nudging, nudging. And you know what I'm going to say? She eventually went, right, I'm going to go to the doctor because this cat is acting out. Like, what is going on here? Very small lump, and was able to have an operation and have the lump removed. And then once that happened, the cat stopped doing that. It's just unbelievable. No training, nothing. Just it was a natural instinct within that cat to do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. And again, yeah, their sense of smell is, you know, totally off the graph. You know, they're just less studied, cats than
Yeah.
dogs. So we don't really know how it differs really from a dog's, you know, actually, or, you know, because you can't really take a cat from A to B easily and get them to do various studies. I just think dogs have been studied now so much. It kind of maybe it's taken a bit of the magic out, you know, because it's almost like we've got to explain everything totally. And I think there's always things somehow that's out there that it's nice to have surprises, isn't it? Do you think, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I think that I'm still at that part in my life where every time I interact with a dog, I haven't changed from that 8-year-old person who really wanted to befriend every dog in the street. There was a golden retriever lived around the corner from me, and see when that dog wanted to come over and give me a stick, and for me to throw that stick for that dog, I felt like I was special because that dog wanted to be friends with me. And so every time, whether it's for All Right Pet or whether it's just in the street and an animal wants to come over to me, I haven't lost that magic. I think you're the same. I get that impression from you, Anna, that when you interact with an animal, you still see that magic, and that is never diminished.
No. I mean, gosh, no, you're absolutely right. I always take it as the massivest compliment,
Yeah.
you know, to be honest with you. And I never force myself onto an animal at all, but they always come up to me. And I know that if there's a dog in the room, I know it'll find me, which I'm so flattered, you
Yeah.
know, and sometimes I feel I'm not even worthy, you know, so.
Sometimes I chase the dog around the room until it eventually gives me attention. Problem is thinking, oh no, your woman's come back again, but that's all right.
Oh my goodness. No, amazing. Well, oh my gosh. I mean, yeah, everyone must tune into All Right Pet because it's brilliant. I love it. And it's very fast paced. And I love Rob as well, your co-host, for his input, because you could tell he's got quite a dry sense of humor, I think, which is really nice. That comes over as well. And it's great. There's so many great discussions. So please tune in and listen, Anne-Marie, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Anna. And I have to return the favour. I hope you'll come on to the next series of All Right Pet for us then, and you can get to chat to Rob now that he's in Australia. Would you chat to him too?
Yes, I would love to. I love chatting, as you probably
Brilliant.
guessed. And yeah, fantastic. Oh, thank you again, Anne-Marie. You really are brilliant.
Thank you. And I really enjoyed that. It went far too fast, but thank you. Great podcast. Thank you.
Thank you. That's our show, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go on, rate and review the show wherever you tune into your podcasts. A huge thanks again to Anne-Marie for joining us today and sharing her insights that have all contributed to her hugely successful podcast, All Right Pet. And thanks to Mike Hansen, my producer, for all the music and production as ever. But also, if you're interested in finding out more about Antinol, the green lip muscle supplement, all the links are below, and you can use my code when you get to your checkout, which is simply AnnaWeb. And of course, if you haven't already, go on, subscribe, because it's free, and that way you'll never miss another show. Bye for now.